Hi. Oh, thanks for coming to say hi.
This,
Yeah,
this.
beautiful.
Check.
Check. Oh, it's not plugged in.
What? Do. So good.
Yep, ordered the stuff. Oh, hi. I should get it. Software updater. Should get it next week.
Cool.
Check, check. Check, check, check.
Can
check,
you-
check,
You
check.
hear it right?
Yeah, great. Great, mate. This is a first for us. OC. This is a first. This is trust. This is familiarity. Familiarity. And this is love. And you're ruining my black t-shirt and sweater. That's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
Is this because I took a shower today? Is that the secret sauce? Only clean people in your world. I'm proud of my typing skills. It's one of the few things that I actually completely learned on my own.
You're a good typer.
I could be a stenographer. No problem. Could be a stenographer. But yeah, I mean, back in the day, AOL, the room is dark, and I had to chat in IMs without looking.
Without looking.
Yeah, and that's what did it. That's how I got good. So girl, why you run away? You look so afraid from me. Moros aggro, Luca Agent Madness.
Okay. This is my microphone. Can you
Is that your one that you're on?
can you speak into your microphone?
Yes. Hello, I'm on my
Hold on
microphone.
one sec. What is that?
Background noise? That's maybe my fan.
No, it sounds like a little, like a crinkly or like a. I don't know.
Crinkly. I don't
It sounds like a static, like a.
like a.
It sounds like the candle burning, like a crackling sound, but it's not because that's all the way over there now. So I'm not sure. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Check 1, Check 2. Oh, that's why. All right. Can you hear better in your headphones?
Can't hear anything in my headphones, can I? Oh, no, I'm hearing better.
Yeah.
I'm not, there's no background noise.
Yeah.
What was it?
It's the connector. It's the little jack. I just have to move it.
Check. I was hearing myself better though before, I think. Because now everything's like on a delay.
Can I hear your headphones?
I can only hear.
Talk.
Hello?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh, I can't do that the way I wanted to. Okay. Alright, I gotta send you one more link.
Check.
Check.
Check. Can you do yours again?
Check.
There you go.
Thank you. Check. Oh yeah, there we go. Thanks, Rich.
Mm-hmm. Alright,
I'm gonna send you the deck list here. Is the audio on? Control Warrior.
Did you say something?
Is our audio being streamed?
No.
Oh, okay. Alright, so I just sent you the Warrior deck list. If you could pull that up. And, should be, I mean, that's really...
Where's
well,
that
hey,
in
I just sent it now in the email. If you could pull that up and also just pull up, go to Vicious Syndicate, and so you can see what I'm talking about. Oh, that's the wrong link. Damn it. Sorry.
So the deck you sent was the right link, right?
Yes.
Okay. I want to get a coffee.
Vicious Syndicate.
Do you want a seltzer water too, or are you good with what you got?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Drink my drink this morning.
May 7th. Oh wow, it just came out. That's awesome. The latest version of the Data Reaper just came out Data Reaper. I hate the way I talk. I hate it. The latest Data Reaper report.
Data Reaper.
The Data Reaper. Just got released. That's very exciting. I'm gonna send that over. We're gonna look at that.
Kid. Did you fucking see the Data Reaper?
Oh god. Alright, I sent that. So if you could just pull that up.
Jamie, pull that up.
If you just pull up those two things, that should be enough.
Sure.
All right. Ready there? These up. Inbox. Data Reaper. All right.
Risky. Just to play my skipper. Skipper, where are you, skipper? Okay. They say this is a control deck. They say this is a tempo deck. They say this is an enrage deck. But the truth is, it's a combo deck. I don't know why they call it that, but. Alright. So, wow. Wow. So many charts, so many tier 1. My favorite thing is the meta breaker at the end. Okay. That. All right.
Your friend.
Oh, I wanted to sign in to the Twitch in case I wanted to be in my Twitch so I can see if anyone's watching and talking, can interact. Twitch.com? Yeah.
TV.
Twitch.tv.
.com. DataReaper.com.
Oh, God. Fuck.
Wow.
Fucking verification.
Oh,
code.
it's the two-factor, right? You gotta get the thing from your phone.
But I'm just going to sign into my Gmail. Let's have to sign out of this one. Sign into you hate me right now?
Kid.
It's always me. It's always me. It's never you. You're always ready to go. At least I know my password on that one. Oh boy. Okay. Yay, I'm in. Alright, and then I go over here and I see our show. Great. I'll shut off my sound.
Yeah.
I'll sign out of this one.
Bum bum bum. Bum bum bum. What's this? Oh, next week there's a pre-release. They're doing a pre-release for the set that's out on Arena.
Yeah.
Do you want to participate with the Destroy Target Permanent podcast folks? So basically, you buy a pre-release kit,
Mhm.
put a deck together in real life, and then we'll have a tournament on Arena with it. Would you want to do that?
Yeah.
Essentially, like you build it in real life, right?
Build a deck in real life.
And then we set up a tournament via Arena. So you'd have to get an Arena account.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna fucking win this thing. Rich, I'm gonna win this thing.
Actually, you can still do it, but you'd have to use my account.
Oh, because I don't have the cards.
You don't have the cards, but you can use my account. That's totally fine. Do you want to do that?
When is it?
Probably the 17th.
Because I'm working on Sunday, and I'm working, which I haven't worked all month, but I'm
17th, 18th, or 19th. So you tell me when you would be available, and then we can sort it out.
working Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
What days are those?
Let me see. May calendar. Okay, May 2020. Today is the 11th, right?
No, it's the 7th.
Today's the 7th. Okay,
So it'll
so
be the-
Sunday I have.
It'll be Thursday, Friday, or Saturday of next week. I think. Wait, what did he say?
No, wait. You said later.
Sorry, wait. He said 17th, 18th, 19th.
Okay,
So that's Sunday,
Oh.
Monday, Tuesday. 17th, 18th, 19th.
that's amazing.
Are you around?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we'll sort that out. You ready to go? You ready to do this?
Yeah.
All right. Hello?
Hello.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Thanks for being patient. Here we are. If you don't mind, people are out there listening, just give us a A-OK if you can hear us. Everything's cool. Should be. What's up, Ginger
Check,
Beard
check.
Gamer? How you doing? Thanks for stopping in.
Welcome to episode 44 of Mythic Legendaries, podcast about Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone, brought to you by two old friends who love podcasts and the games we play. My name is Mock Sapphire.
My name is Richard G.
Hey, Richard G.
Hi, how are you?
Good. May 7th,
2020.
2:06 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Mythic Legendaries, the world's first and only Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone hybrid podcast.
You can say Hearthstone first. You can say Hearthstone and Magic together. Yeah.
I'm not sure if any Hearthstone players listen to this show.
Don't sell yourself short.
It's all about you.
No, it's not. Stop that. Stop that.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you very much for hanging with us. We're here.
We're here.
We're clear.
We're clear. Thanks for coming back. Episode 44, on our way to 50.
Mm-hmm.
It's a privilege and it's an honor to do a show for you. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, and thanks for the folks that are hanging out on Twitch and just gonna watch us do this thing.
Yes.
And as this is a new part of our podcast, as people will listen to it without the Twitch part, people who are watching now, this is a little bit of a different format, but it's a lot more interactive now. So I think people who are listening after we do this, thank you for, listening through the live and in-person stuff as it happens. But people who are in chat, feel free to interact, and that's just a new part of the show. So
Yeah, totally.
yeah. So thanks for everybody hanging out.
Gives me a reason to take a shower, get dressed,
it was brought to our attention that we're back to normal as far as the screen goes. But I want to let you guys all in on a little secret.
Oh my God.
What it looks like now to people in chat looking at the video is not how it looks in real life.
Because when we look at the screen, it looks correct.
Right. Last week when it was flipped, that's what it would look like if you were sitting in front of us and looking at us. But now, if you see it on the TV or the screen, it's not what it looks like. So it's trickery. So I've had it on this setting the whole time, but it's fake. It's mirrors, smoke and mirrors.
Cool.
But welcome.
You're killing the game, man.
Killing it.
Fucking Twitch affiliate.
Oh yeah, that's right. That happened.
That happened?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks for everybody for supporting the channel.
This
great.
is a co-sponsored stream and promoted you for the week.
Yeah.
You're doing great, man.
Thanks. It's a lot of fun. It's nice to have something in these.
Maybe you could talk about how you did it, how you became a Twitch affiliate. I'm sure there's a lot of people
I
that
begged people. I bribed people.
because I'm just starting out on
Yeah.
Twitch,
Yeah.
and I'm like, how did Rich do it? This is it's not easy.
Yeah, it's to touch on it real quick. It really is just interaction, consistent interaction with people. This is the community that you want to be a part of is as a majority a very friendly and welcoming community, right? And if you just interact with people, you do the things that you would want done to you, the golden rule, so to speak. Like you go into streams, you watch, you participate, you chat with people, and don't be a jerk. You know what I mean? There's people on the internet that want to go into chats and be jerks, right?
Yeah.
And those people should be booted quickly. But if you're part of that community of friendly people and just, supporting other streamers, it should come back to you eventually. So that's just what I've been doing. And just, to have 55 followers on the channel is like pretty awesome.
Totally.
But it's just keep doing it and just keep doing it, and then
100%.
it happens. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's awesome. This week on the show, I'll be talking about Hearthstone. Big shocker. Going to be talking about an incredible Hearthstone resource called Vicious Syndicate. I've known about it for a long time, have forgotten about it, and luckily today they just came out with the latest Data Reaper report, which is report number 161. And I think it comes out like bi-monthly, twice a month, I think. So we're going to go through that and talk about that as a resource and talk about what it says. Haven't even looked at it yet.
nice. And it just updated today, right?
Just updated today.
Cool.
And also going to talk about how to hit Legend and one of the top tier decks right now.
Nice.
The ins and outs. And that's what we're talking about.
Awesome. I'm going to talk about what a wacky time it is with Magic Standard at the moment.
Okay.
It's something right now. It's something. Man.
Yeah.
It's something, right? I mean, I think a lot of people understand how I can't verbalize exactly what is going on, but there's a couple decks that are just like happening, and it's making the game like awful. It's making the enjoyment of the game has gone like into the toilet because of these decks.
Okay.
So I'm going to touch on why I feel that way. What is?
Would you say that the decks are broken?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel as if that the playtesting and the design were not fully
Playtesting, I think needs to get upped. I think they need to hire you as a fucking playtester.
Yeah. Hire me. I mean, so that's what's happening. There's some issues there, but I also am going to touch on one of the decks that I've been playing, which is it's been very consistent on the ladder. A little bit different of a concept than what's happening right now. So I'm going to touch on those two things. I know a lot of people
What color
feel
is it?
red and white.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just simple aggro deck, but it's been serving me well. So
Cool.
we're gonna touch on those two things.
In Hearthstone, it seems they're so on top of balance that there's very little short amount because it's completely digital
Right.
and doesn't have to exist in real life. They are so on top of it.
Don't mind me. I'm just gonna stand.
No problem.
because
Stand.
I'm gonna stretch my legs a little.
You used to stand in the beginning. You always stood.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Okay, because if a deck is broken, it probably has like a 60% win rate. Would you say?
Maybe even higher.
Maybe even higher. In Hearthstone, right now, the difference in percentages is so small.
Mhm.
They're all under 55%. So that's their goal,
Okay.
is to get things as close to 50% win rate as possible.
Mhm.
So
That's cool. Yeah, I wish they could do something like that in Magic, because when you have a deck that is just dominating, or if you have a combination of a couple cards that no matter where you put them, they end up dominating the metagame, it's just a problem.
it's a problem.
It stifles creativity. It creates aggravation. It creates
Fun
it doesn't create fun
for
No.
some people.
I
Maybe.
mean, sure, for those people who love
People who-
annoying their opponent and being like, okay, I win on turn 5 again.
What about if you don't have a lot of money, or you don't have a lot of time, and you don't have a lot of cards, but you might have enough cards to put together like the number one deck that happens to be broken at the time.
Well, those two things don't go hand in hand. Like, if you don't have all the cards, then you're not going to have all the cards because it's a bunch of mythics and rares and stuff. But I get what you're saying.
Well, that
It's
brings
fine.
me to what I'm talking about
Yeah,
today, is
what's that?
because how do you hit legend?
Mm-hmm. How
There's
do you do
a
it?
few ways. Number one, you can guess what is going to be the strongest archetypes coming out of the gate on day one
Mm-hmm.
of the release of the expansion. Okay? That's what we talk about a lot leading up to an expansion.
Right.
Is what we think is going to be fun, what we think is going to be powerful archetypes. And then hopefully you guess right, and on day one, you climb.
Mm-hmm.
You climb that ladder
Mm-hmm.
quickly, and you play all day. This is what I've learned.
Right.
Because now, the Team 5, as Hearthstone we call it Team 5,
Mhm.
is so on top of it. You might only have that one day
Mhm.
before they do a balance change. They did 2 balance
They
changes.
did quick ones this season, right?
Super quick.
Yeah.
Day 2
Mm-hmm.
of the release of Ashes of Outland, and then again, I don't know, maybe a weekend,
Mm-hmm.
again to Demon Hunter. With the goal is to even things out.
Yeah.
So you have that one day where you can
It's chaos. You have one day of just like, if something's broken, then you gotta do as many things with it as possible, right?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you have anytime there's a balance change. Sometimes you know a balance change is coming because on Twitter, someone that works for Hearthstone will say it and it'll get retweeted
Mhm.
and you'll hear about it. Okay, there's balance changes are on the way, or they'll make an official announcement. Balance changes are on the way.
Mhm.
So you can try to prepare for the balance change.
Mhm.
I mean, one day into it, you can't prepare for that.
Right.
It's like,
It's
it was very shocking, Rich G. I was shocked.
shocking.
And upset.
Mhm.
I'm still fucking upset. And then, so you have that. You have day one.
Yep.
You have a balance change if you know it's coming.
Yep.
And then you have what I learned. I thought that was the only way forever. I thought that was the only way. I really did.
Mhm.
I thought it was pay to play. You have to have the cards. You have to be versatile. You have to be on top of the meta, and that's the way you get to legend.
Mhm.
But Liquid OX proved us wrong.
Mhm.
You can also play the game well.
Yeah. You can have all the cards, you can have all the decks that you can handle, but you need to know how to actually play the game
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Unfortunately, after that is all done, said and done,
Uh-huh.
there's still hope to hit legend, which is the good thing. But what you have to really stick with one deck and learn it well,
Mhm.
and you have
I
to.
can't do that.
That's one of the things I struggle with. And if you can play that one deck well enough, over a 50% win rate, and you keep playing it, you will rise through the ladder. And that's what I keep telling myself every day. Last week, this week that just passed, since the last show, dude,
Doing
it's
good.
tough.
No.
It was tough.
Oh, okay.
I made it to, there's that first, we have from the last season, you have all these bonus stars.
Right.
So you get all these bonus stars, and then it pushes you up the ladder. And if you win, you can get back to where you started very quickly. I lost a few, but I made it back to Diamond 10.
Okay.
So I'm at
You're a safety tier, right?
a safety tier. Thank you. Yeah.
Right.
And I'm trying to get to D5. I had no success. It was bad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. But I.
Was it the deck or was it the player?
It was the player.
Yeah.
I thought it might be the deck, so I kept switching decks, and I kept losing. And then
So that's such a weird time in both of our games when a new set comes out, a meta game gets all shook up, and you can't. It's difficult to settle on a deck because it's like you want to play card, you want to experiment, right?
Yeah.
Then there's the issue of like, do I take it to the ladder? Do I take it to the play queue? Do I just play friends with it? But
I
you're
can't
like,
take anything to the play queue
Yeah.
because it's so different.
yeah, same thing in Magic. Like there's a competitive metagame, and then there's a casual metagame, and then there's the people who are in the competitive metagame who want to beat all the casuals, and they'll show up and be like, okay, I'm just gonna quit and move on. But it's unfortunate that there's such a big difference between the competitive and the homebrews or the this could work or how do I make this work, but when you take it to a ladder and they just get like demolished on the first few turns, then you're discouraged and you're like, all right, let me switch decks, all right, let me play the good deck, let me do this. And then sometimes even that doesn't work. It's like you take the good deck and you're like, all right, well, the good deck must win all the time, so I'm going to go in, and then you have no idea how to play it, or you have no idea what to do, and then you're like still losing. Yeah. So then you.
Well, I did what you do, and I said, I'm feeling really bad right now. I'm going to build my own deck. So I built a mage deck, and it wasn't a Highlander deck. I just said, you know what? Rich likes counterspells. No one's playing counterspells. No one's running counterspells. I put 2 counterspells. I put 2 polymorphs, which is a spell that turns any minion, transforms it into a 1/1. It's so good against Priest. It's so satisfying because Priest is so annoying. But to play this deck with counterspells and then polymorph, two polymorphs and 2 counterspells against Priest is beautiful. Beautiful.
So you found something.
I found something that I enjoyed, which was sticking it to Priest.
Yeah.
And then, but now I'm shifting gears again because now it's a new week for me. This is kind of like our week. You know, is it? Wow. Oh, thank you. I have cat hair all over me, and I love it.
Other cat decided to be your best friend before the podcast. Yeah,
she snuggled up.
She was sitting on my face earlier today. You know. Yeah, I know.
It's awesome.
When I was trying to wake up this morning.
It's the best way to wake up with
I was like,
pussy cat on your face. I had to say it.
She was like here, and she was vibrating and so happy. And then George noticed that she was on me, and he tried to be like inside me. He's like, no, me, and he was like all up on my face. Like, yeah, he's so jealous when she gets close. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great family we got here.
You got a king size bed. Yeah. They got the whole bed. They're like, no, I need to be on your face.
I have to be literally in the one spot where you breathe. I need to be on that spot.
That's awesome. So I played this homebrew. It was a lot of fun, and now I'm refocusing.
So there's just a comment by Ginger Beard Man Gamer that is relevant to what we're talking about right here. He said, I do think that's where we're at in standard as far as Magic goes, but I think in Hearthstone as well, that there's an obvious best thing, right? There's an obvious thing that is the best, and people just need to know how to figure out how to stop it. Does it work like that in Hearthstone too? Like, is there like a time where something is so prevalent that everybody kind of like shifts and they're like, okay, well, I'm going to play these 3 cards that screw that deck over.
It used to be.
Okay.
It used to be when the meta wasn't balanced that you'd have this top tier broken deck, and then the only other deck was the deck that counters it.
Okay.
With the tech,
Mm-hmm.
the deck tech. So that was deck tech was big, and just the counter to that deck. And then it was rock paper scissors, and people hated it. They did hate it.
Yeah.
People like things more, but I'm having trouble finding my place. I need to become a better player.
Yeah.
And the way I'm doing that is you'll be proud. This morning, I watched a video on a VOD of the deck, and then
That's the way to do it.
I was on HS Replay, which I have a subscription. I'm like, let me utilize it. So I found the VOD of Enrage Warrior. Was watching Orange play. Was watching some Asian player play. I couldn't. All the cards were in a different language. So I couldn't read the cards.
But you know,
I should know the cards. But yeah, it's more fun for me. But I was watching Orange.
Yeah.
And then I saw on Twitter that Orange was streaming today. And he was streaming Enrage Warrior.
Cool.
Yeah, so I went to his Twitch and I watched him play live in Rage Warrior, and I got some tips. And
see, that's it right there.
That's
it.
That's it.
That's the step that I learned within the last 6 months. And even if it's just casually like having it on in the background, some of my routines with watching streamers or watching content creators is that around dinner time, I throw YouTube on the big TV, and I watch like the latest deck video from, there's a content creator named Covert Go Blue.
Okay.
Super nice, super fun, super articulate, super smart Magic player, but also enjoys like playing like kind of wonky decks, but will still play them well and build them well. So what I'll do almost every night is start making dinner and then have it on, and then when I sit down, and I'll take in like 15-20 minutes worth of like 1 or 2 people. Like I won't sit down and like watch because it kind of gets a little much watching like 6 matches of the same deck over and over. Like you kind of get it.
Wait for the moment. I was waiting for the moment when the combo went
when it
on.
happened.
Yeah. You talked about how it works.
Yeah.
But she actually lost both games. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. It's the same thing too. You just see how it either works or it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then you get your own ideas, or you can just go straight up and just copy the deck and be like, okay, I'm going to use this deck because it seems awesome.
Yeah, that's what I mostly do.
But
I rarely play a homebrew unless I think I have a really great idea.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and it's just something that you can get in the habit of doing by watching a little bit each day, and then that can spark some ideas, or can spark some motivation, or it can just be like, you know what, that seems like what I want to play, so I'm going to go copy that deck and go play it.
It makes it fun. It makes it fun when you're studying the deck and then you go and try to put it into practice.
Yeah, I did that with this cycling deck last night, and a couple folks in chat were trying to help me play it because it's more complicated than it seems. I can go over it in my section, but that's kind of like last night on stream. While I was streaming, I was like, all right, let me try this deck. Can you guys help me? And I had some folks in chat actually
that'd be great.
Helping me play it.
Yeah.
And I would make a play, and then they'd be like, oh, you should have done this and that, and then I see why. So even that, like when you start streaming and you have people watching, just be like, help. Help me.
Yeah. This deck is one of the hardest decks to play, and it is one of the strong. Everyone's saying it's the strongest deck. It's also the most complicated deck to play. So
this is Control Warrior.
It's funny. It's
that
called.
That's the one you sent me, right?
Yeah, that's the deck.
Oh, we have a notification.
Whoa.
We have a notification.
That graphic is cool. What is that?
Thanks for following, chatter. Thanks
oh my god, that is a cool graphic when someone follows.
Yeah. See, that's why we need more followers and stuff, because the animations are cool.
Oh, thank you so much for following. So it's called Control Warrior, but it's also called Enrage Warrior. I've heard people say it's Tempo Warrior, but it's actually a fucking combo deck.
Okay.
All right. my Hearthstone coach Robobson had tweeted something, and I found it, and it was from Tom Wayland. Tom Wayland is at Meatihs, MEATIHS. He's a doctor from Cambridge, and he's a Hearthstone coach at Gamer Sensei. He's from Cambridge, England. He finished 9th at the EU Winter Playoffs. He's a great player, and he's a great coach. And he made a little thing about this warrior deck. And this is what Orange was saying this morning as well, is the combo is Skipper, okay? Skipper, Risky Skipper is a 1/3 pirate for 1. After you play a minion, deal 1 damage to all minions. And it's combos with Armor Smith. Whenever a friendly minion takes damage, gain 1 armor. It's a 1/4 for 2. And that's just a common, but that's a really strong 2-drop. And it's a key card in this deck. I saw Orange, what he did was he played Risky Skipper, and then he played Armor Smith, and then he played the card that copies a damaged minion, the Bloodsworn Mercenary. It's a 3/3 for 3 epic battle cry. Choose a damage friendly minion, summon a copy of it. So you play Risky Skipper, Armor Smith, then it takes 1 damage.
Let's see. Yep.
Okay, so that's 2 armor. Then you play the Mercenary, that's 3 armor. You get a copy of it, and it's even more armor. So it's all about armoring up, but you want to maximize it. So that's what Orange was saying. You want to wait. You don't want to play tempo-y unless you have to. So a couple of things from Tom Wayland in his little tutorial document that he published was step 1, ask yourself, is this the right turn to play Skipper? This is what he wrote. Generally, it's best to hold your Skipper until you clear your opponent's board and do one of the following. Draw cards with Battle Rage. Battle Rage is a spell where you draw cards for each of your damaged minions. Build a board with Bomb Wrangler or Blood Maul Brute, which do things when they get damaged. Gain HP with Armor Smith. If you're losing against an aggressive deck like Demon Hunter, you might be forced to play your Skipper early just to clear their board. Because a lot of the Demon Warrior minions are like 2 health. So it sounds much better when I'm closer to the mic. If you're winning, it's sometimes correct to play Skipper when your opponent has a small or empty board. There is a really good advantage to doing so, like drawing cards with Battle Rage when your hand is empty, or filling your board on 7 with Skipper, Bomb, Mercenary versus Rogue.
So I see how this deck works.
You see how it works?
Yeah, it's very. It is combo-y. I mean, it seems like it could just be an aggro deck, kind of, but it is definitely more like all of these cards work together and gaining an advantage on dudes, on things on board. And your stuff gets tougher. You get more dudes.
Your tempo stuff is like when you have Anchor in hand, which is the 2/2 for 3 weapon. After your hero attacks, draw a pirate from your deck. So he was kind of holding back. He had Anchor, so he'd swing with Anchor, and then the hero power of Warrior is gain 2 armor for 2, and so he'd armor up, and he's just kind of waiting to maximize his armor turn, his Skipper turn. So that's really important. But also he lost both those games because he didn't like activate quick enough.
Gotcha.
Which is nice to see a pro lose too, because you're like, even the pros lose.
That's a good point. Because I go on losing, we all go on losing streaks, right?
Yeah.
But I've brought this up before. I feel like I never see pros or content creators like content creators can edit their videos together, right? And they'll just take the good parts, right? That's
they
fine.
look like
That's
total heroes.
they do. I mean, there's no disclaimer like, hey, I actually lost, but like, you know, the clips that they'll put on, it's usually like with the ones they win. Sometimes you'll just see a losing one, which is rare, but it's like, okay. But I would just love to watch a Twitch stream of like a high level Magic player, and it sounds kind of sadistic to be like, I want to see you lose over and over and over again, but I want to. Why? It's because I want to see how they handle it. You know, I want to see their mental reaction to losing, because some people don't care about the ladder, they don't care about the points, but when you're like a pro Magic player and all you can play right now is Arena, or, you know, Magic Gathering Online, but I think Arena is gaining more popularity and like hitting Mythic and then having all these championships and stuff. I want to see different personalities in a situation where they're being how they're reacting to a downswing. Because I know somebody like, I don't know, I know a couple personalities in Magic that seem like nothing bothers them. They can win, they can lose, they can whatever, and it's just like stone face. But then there's some people
failed at
that are
that
like,
so hard on my first stream. Were you watching?
No, I watched in the beginning and I started.
I was like, oh, damn it.
I mean, that's how I was. That's how I was last night. I think I'm actually going to create a salt cam.
Okay.
You know, because like in the streaming software, you can have different scenes, right? And it's basically what your viewers see. You know how we switch in between like the starting soon thing and then the mainstream. So you can set up your camera in a different scene to be either like zoomed in or zoomed out or like a different graphic. I think my salt cam is going to be a zoomed in version of my face, so I can just sit there and stare at the camera and not believe what is happening to me in that moment because my opponent has.
That sounds
God
like so
draw.
much fun.
Yeah, so salt cam coming soon.
That's awesome.
But basically, what I'm saying is, last night I was like, losing and complaining as usual, as what happens. But I realized that doing so is probably normal, but I want to make sure that that's not how I always am. You know what I mean? Because I was making a lot of progress, and then I was like lose, and then your vibe changes, and the vibe of the stream changes. But you know, it's something you got to keep under control, but also realize that it's normal. But I want to see the pros. I want to see the pros lose.
Dude, I didn't win one game on stream. I was so sad. So just to wrap up what Tom Whalen, who's an awesome player, about Control Warrior, is step 1, ask yourself, is it the right turn to play Skipper? Step 2, how much damage do I need to deal to my opponent's board? Will I need to play 1, 2, or 3 minions after my Skipper? That's a great way to think of it.
Mm-hmm.
Step 3, how much mana do I, because I guess your goal is to clear your opponent's board with Skipper and then be in a position of power. So in that sense, it's a combo deck, but it's a tempo move. How much mana do I have available to spend on these 1, 2, 3 minions? Mm-hmm. Remember to take off 2 if you want to cast Battle Rage as well. Step 4, ask yourself, what's the best thing I can achieve using these 1, 2, 3 minions? So that's stuff I'm thinking about.
Cool.
Check out Tom Whalen. I will have links to this stuff in the show notes on our Discord, discord.me/Mythic Legendaries. Trying to get better with the top tier deck and trying to climb ladder. So we're keeping at it, not giving it up, not first.
You got it.
You know what I draw strength from? It's funny.
What?
It just happened randomly. I told you this before, but I played against a player that had the special
the sleeves,
the special gold, shiny gold sleeves.
Yeah.
So they were in like a big championship tournament, and I won.
Yeah, you did. That's right.
So it's only a matter of time. If you're trying to get better, trying to climb legend with me, you can go to the Vicious Syndicate website, vicioussyndicate.com. They come out with a fabulous, just information-packed report called a Data Reaper report. The current report just came out today, report number 161. The information in this makes me foam at the mouth. This information is based on 145,000 games.
Wow. Since when? Does it reset every like 6 months or 3 months or week?
Okay, I can figure that out. Let me open up this link. Okay, so there was one, the last one came out before today's on April 30th.
Oh, okay.
So it's been a week.
Wow.
The one before that was April 16th.
Yeah, so like every 2 weeks? Week and a half?
Yeah, every
Week and a half it seems like.
about a week and a half-ish
Okay.
comes out a new one. So this one, welcome to, just gonna read a little bit about it. My favorite part is the meta breaker, which is at the very end of the report, which tells you the meta breaker, what they think the meta breaker is.
You love that.
I love that. That's one of my favorite things, to play the meta breaker. Welcome to the 161st edition of the Data Reaper Report. Our Data Reaper project has 3,500 active contributors, and we thank them wholeheartedly. You can contribute using the Hearthstone deck tracker or Firestone, which is their own personal tracker. Very first thing, you see a beautiful chart, very easy to read, of the most popular archetypes. And I'll just go through them real quickly. 25.6% of players playing Aggro Demon Hunter, 16.9% of players playing Galakrond Rogue or Highlander Rogue, 11.9% playing Face Hunter or Highlander Hunter, 10.6% playing Galakrond Priest, 9% playing Highlander Mage, 9% playing Enrage Warrior, which is what people are saying, hey, this is the strongest deck if you know how to play it. So that's something to keep in mind when you're reading statistics.
Yeah.
You don't read this and say, well, that's the best deck.
Right.
That just happens to be the deck that most people are playing. Not to say that you can't do better with other decks, or any fucking deck if you know how to play it, which is so hard to believe, but it's true, Rich. Okay. Hey, growing, every week we're growing. Our minds are growing. The way we think about the game is changing, improving week by week. That's why we're here. So then you get a class frequency discussion.
I have to say, this graph is the worst graph I've ever seen in my entire life.
The second one?
Yeah.
It's impossible to read.
It's the worst graph I've ever seen. It looks like somebody took colored spaghetti and just threw it on the floor.
Well, that's the way it looks to me, but when I saw that, I was like, there's somebody that loves shit like that.
Yeah.
There's
a statistics
somebody.
nerd out there who's like, ooh. And
like digs into that.
Yeah.
I look at that and I'm like, it's not useful to me at all. I have no clue what that means.
This graph, if you can't see this graph, it's a line graph, a timed line graph of all the different patches and launches and stuff of Hearthstone, and it's like
that's all ranks.
It's literally just like
what if you hit
3, 4,
D4?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10 colors.
Hit D4 to legend and see if it gets any better. No, I still don't get it.
There's just lines everywhere and like arrows pointing the shit, and like it's ridiculous.
The next thing is very useful. It's easy to read.
Class frequency discussion.
The versus power rankings.
Okay. Yeah.
So they're saying tier 1 is Enrage Warrior, Highlander Hunter, Aggro Demon Hunter, and Dragon Hunter, in that order.
I see.
With the highest win rate, is 54.56. That's it. Okay? And then the next one is 52.89%. So we're so close. That's how balanced the meta is.
That's
so
good. That's great.
It's great if you put the time in, which is what I'm going to try to do.
Dark Knight Gaming said that graph looks like he let his triplets draw with different crayons. That's exactly what it looks like. Just like.
This is a great free resource, and it's versus power rankings. I mean, it's an article, you can read through it like the newspaper, which I do.
Do you do the thing where you fluff it out? You fold under the bottom?
I fluff out my laptop
just fluff it out
with my coffee.
Your small hot regular.
I wish that my small hot regular, the Data Reaper report, the Data Reaper. shit, man. It goes through each class, each of the tier 1 classes, and then I'm just going to read the meta breaker. So I just want to highly recommend it. ViciousSyndicate.com. Keep your eye on it.
Stats are helpful for both of our games,
And it's
They're
free.
helpful. Yeah.
And it's great to have something to read.
Right.
You know, the library's closed,
Yeah.
and I'm cheap, and I don't want to buy a new thing on Amazon. The mail is so fucking slow right now. Anyway, Vicious Syndicate, awesome. Meta breaker of the week. This is brand new, fresh off the press. Is going to wrap up with this, and I'm just going to read it. It's not very long, and then I'm going to pass my turn to Rich.
Say it again. Meta breaker of the week.
Meta breaker of the week. Charge! The most appropriate meta breaker for this week would still be Enraged Warrior, since we expect the deck to continue to rise in popularity and reshape the meta. But that would be kind of boring, right? We know the story. It's the best deck. Yeah, but it's hard to play, so people aren't going to play it. I'm telling you right now. That's why I'm going to try to play it. The pros are playing it. Instead, we highlight decks that may have made big improvements in the performance this week and that we think have the potential to get even better. Highlander Mage has turned things around with the Imprisoned Observer, which is one of those dormant minions that is dormant for 2 turns, and then it wakes up. I think it's a 4/3 when it wakes up, and it does 2 damage to all enemy minions. Look at me.
Look at you.
Look at me, I know some
Look at you knowing
cards.
things.
Providing it with critical improvements in several matchups.
And then you're like, wait, no, let me look it up.
Zoo Warlock just feels like a deck that's waiting to get broken at some point in the future. Watch out for this one if Warrior Demon Hunter get nerfed. Ooh. Why would they nerf Warrior when hardly anybody's playing it? Don't nerf anything again. Please, just leave it.
Just leave it.
If you can go to Legend with any deck, why nerf anything else?
I wish we had that problem. I wish we had the problem of Wizards being able to like turn power level down like when it's relevant that it needs to be. Because
Man,
count your blessings over there, Hearthstone.
I'm trying. So they're saying Zoo Warlock maybe, which is always a fun deck to play because Zoo Warlock is always a budget deck, and it's just a lot of floods the board and sticky and a lot of fun to play and cheap to build. Face Hunter could be a big breakthrough in terms of finding another deck that reliably beats Demon Hunter. Fuck Demon Hunter, so sick of it.
Me too.
Because I can't win it with it. Then
Isn't that always the way? Like if you can't beat a deck and you can't win with it, then screw it. Like
exactly.
it's the worst. Like
It's
mono red for me. It's like I can't beat it and I can't win with it, so screw it. It's the worst thing ever.
Totally. They're saying the Felmaw boar build looks extremely powerful. Oh, that's the boar, which is a charge, a really cheap charge, and then you make it bigger, and then you make copies of it, and like how many boars can you have? I tried it, and it sucks. For this week, if it didn't crumble to Warriors. Well, I look forward to figuring out Warrior, and come and watch me on stream. I'll post a link to that. I'm going to try to stream every week.
Awesome.
I'm inspired by Rich G.
Thanks. Yeah, just keep at it. Just do it. Keep doing it.
I'm going to try.
Yeah.
Thank you. And pass my turn to Rich G talking about Magic the Gathering Arena.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for your... I wish I had an air horn. No, some people don't wish I had an air horn. Thanks for your segment. Good luck with everything. Flex it. What about those guns? Those guns. What have you been lifting?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I just plank and I do. My other cat is saying, "Oh, I love this cat so much." And planking and doing my glute routine.
Okay.
You feel powerless right now? You feel like the world's out of control? You feel like you don't know what the fuck is happening in the world? Guess one thing you can control: your workout routine.
That's true. That's true.
You want to feel like
that sounded very Tony Robbins right there.
You want to feel like you have some control over your life. Do your workout every day and finish it and feel great. Trust.
Yeah. I've been doing this yoga thing, this like 30 days of yoga for beginners. It's great.
You loving it?
Yeah, it's like 20, 25 minutes. YouTube video, throw it on. Just like, I like to start my day with
Have you
it.
done it? Oh, okay. That's
I
what I
like,
was
to
gonna
start, I like to start my day with it. I don't like doing exercise later because by the end of the day, you're kind of not as motivated as you might be in the beginning. That's me. You know, other people might be different. But yeah, throw it on. It's like 20, 25 minutes. It's fine. And get a good, like, vibe going. You get your little sweat going, and then you're good. And you did it, right? And then
Yeah.
when you're done, you did it.
You did
You
it.
don't have to work. Because when I start an exercise routine, if I don't do it for a day, I feel guilty. I feel like I need to overdo it. You know what I mean? So like you have to make sure you don't let that get to you. But nowadays, just like set a little thing. Set a little, you know, just remind yourself to do something once a day, and once it's done and over with, then you did it. So
It feels great.
it does feel great. So
I want to take a before and after.
do it.
I'm gonna do it
Do it.
in a thong.
Do it. All right, so Magic the Gathering this week. Here we go. It's so we're in a state of flux, so to speak, because the new set just started getting sort of absorbed into the metagame, and there are some cards that in the first week were like, okay, these cards are pretty good. You know, they're the, you know, like we were talking about, the metagame was shook up. You have a new set, and then as things started like settling down, a lot of the top streamers and pros were kind of like seeing that there's certain cards that are just so much better and work so much better together than they did previous to this set, that's the way to go. Okay, so point one is the companion mechanic.
Yeah.
Pretty much any tier 1 deck is going to be playing the Yorion companion, because the Yorion companion is just,
I'm pulling up your links.
yeah, if you want to pull up the Yorion Jeskai, the Ether Hub. So I'm going to share this link in chat real quick too, so if anybody wants to follow along, you can just click this link and check out the deck that I'm talking about. So we're going to talk about this Jeskai Yorion Luca Agent of Treachery pile business madness that's happening right now. So this is the deck, all right?
Okay, this is the Luca Agent Madness.
Yes, yeah. This is the deck that's happening right now that is just sort of it's the standard is just overpowered by this deck, because remember back when M20 came out and I talked about Agent of Treachery?
Yes.
Remember way back in like one of our first episodes?
Yes.
It was like Agent of Treachery was like, oh man, Agent of Treachery. I remember Treachery was a card from back in the Urza block that you got to steal someone's permanent and untapped lands, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it had this nostalgia to it. It was like the word treachery reminded me of that card, Treachery. And then stealing someone permanent is like, man, that's a pretty powerful thing in Magic, right? So
Yes.
Agent of Treachery was...
Cost 10 mana to do in Hearthstone.
Okay, so it's obviously like, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
10 mana is like end of the game kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Agent of Treachery costs 7, and it says when it comes into play, you can steal any permanent of your opponents.
Okay.
Any permanent.
Sounds
meaning
like something
lands
you
as
love.
well. I love it. I mean, at 7 mana in a control deck as a finisher, that's great, right? Like if you look at Agent of Treachery in a vacuum, like you just look at Agent of Treachery and you think, okay, blue white, maybe like blue green, so you can ramp some land out and get it out a little bit quicker, steal some stuff. It's great. As a card itself, 7 mana. I think the design team was like, okay, 7 mana is good. That's slow. It's a 2/3 creature. You know, you didn't put a big body on it, but its enter the battlefield effect is huge. Plus, the little clause on the bottom, and a lot of people really forget about, is that if you own 3 of your opponent's permanents during your end step, you get to draw 3 cards.
Sweet.
So if you're able to steal up to 3 things,
That's
3
a big
things or more,
bonus.
then you get to draw 3 cards during your end step. I think because of the first ability is just so huge anyway, people don't really get to own 3 permanents at this point, because
The more secrets you have, the more easily you become my pawn.
I love it. Agent of Treachery's artwork is pretty sick. I love
It's
that.
very appropriate right now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, COVID agent. He's wearing his face mask there.
Or Age of Treachery.
So what happened now with Ikoria is Luca Coppercoat Outcast is a planeswalker that was released with Ikoria.
Okay.
Okay, Luca, when it was spoiled and when I first saw it, I was like, oh, okay, another red planeswalker that can grab you things at the cost of sacrificing everything. Like a very red thing to do, right?
Yeah.
So you read it and you're like, okay, so I can sacrifice a thing and then go get another thing. And so what people figured out very quickly with Luca is that if you only include one creature in your deck and you include a bunch of ways to create creature tokens that cost nothing, what Luca's -2 ability is you exile a creature and then you search your library for a creature with a larger converted mana cost than the creature who was exiled, and you put that creature into play. So if the only creature in your deck is an Agent of Treachery, and the only other creatures that you have on board are creature tokens, you pay 5 mana to get Luca out,
Okay.
you sacrifice your dude because you activate his thing,
Yeah.
and then an Agent of Treachery pops out of your deck and you get to steal your opponent's thing.
What?
Now it's sweet, right? Like it's sweet. That's a crazy combo for 5 mana, and you most always hit it on turn 5 with this build that I have brought up. But let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If you're playing Magic, and
Which I will be playing that
which you will be playing Magic,
next week.
if you're playing Magic and you enjoy the game,
Love it.
you enjoy playing your cards.
I'm a fucking wizard playing on a magical playing field. People don't like that analogy? That's me. I'm a wizard.
You're a wizard. You're a planeswalker.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing it. You're doing the thing. You're casting your spells, right?
Yeah.
Turn 5 rolls around and you're like, all right, I got a couple things I'm going to do the next couple turns. So then your opponent plays a Fires of Invention, plays a Luca Coppercoat Outcast, sacrifices their token that they made a turn before, brings an Agent of Treachery into play, steals your land. And then you're like, oh, okay, so I can't do that thing next turn because my land was stolen. Okay, cool. Then the next turn, they can either A, do it again, because they might have another token, and Luca's activation cost is -2, and he starts with a 5 loyalty. So he can hit that thing twice before he can't do it again. So he can hit 2 Agents of Treachery within 2 turns. Or you can bring in your companion, Yorion. Yorion's always off to the side as a companion.
Yeah.
When Yorion comes into play, you pick target permanents that you own, you exile them until the end of turn, and then at the end of the turn, they all come back refreshed, right? They all come into the battlefield as they would be cast.
So is that an answer to Agent of Treachery?
No, it's an additional
Another thing.
additional thing that when you blink it out,
Yeah.
and then it comes back at the end of the turn, it triggers again, so you can steal your opponent's shit again. So
You're doing this, right?
I'm not playing this deck right now because
What's the question?
I'm wanting to. The question is, do you want your shit stolen by your opponent, or do you want to play Magic?
I want to play this fucking deck.
Right. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about, do you play the best deck,
That's
or
so
do you
broken.
try to play something that like
That is
counteracts
so broken.
it? It is, because when you're trying to play the game and you're
Oh,
trying to
God.
use your cards and you're trying to enjoy
Trying to play Magic.
You're trying to play Magic. You're not
Yeah.
trying to sit there and give your opponent targets to steal.
Not on turn 5. That should cost more.
It's on turn 5, like always, and it's like,
That should be an end of game thing.
and that's exactly that's, and I feel so. The other aspect of it is like, did the design and playtest team see this? Probably not, because on the Agent of Treachery, first point of Agent of Treachery is that it says target permanent.
Yeah.
It doesn't say, like almost every other card in Magic, non-land permanent.
Right.
When you want to like target something to either steal it or destroy it or return it to a hand, it says non-land permanent.
Land destruction is very powerful.
It is. It's probably one of the most powerful things in the game. So when you're stealing your opponent's land, that is like a slap in the face for playing the game. You're like, ha, I'm going to take your resources so you can't even play shit.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do it again the next turn. It's like the ultimate like shitty Magic player thing to do, right? It's like taking all of the enjoyment from your opponent, and it's not just like, okay, I beat you on turn 3 with like a mono red deck and I was able to Ember Cleave you and whatever.
Yeah.
That's like, okay, I can try to play around it. I can maybe kill your thing with, if you're not prepared on turn 5 with this Luca deck, if your opponent is playing it, you're helpless. Because
Are those cards super expensive to buy right now? Luca and Agent.
So what Lane, our friend Lane May, was saying last night on stream is that the Agent of Treachery like spiked in paper price right now. So I think it went from like $2 to $12 overnight because it's like, and I'm sure Luca is as well because it's a mythic rare. So I'm sure it's started high and is going higher. But yeah, in paper, like Agent of Treachery was just kind of a whatever card for the last like 6 months or so. Now with this deck, it's like
They found this.
they found it. They found it.
They
Right?
found the trick there.
So
Wow.
it's like,
that is so powerful.
it's so powerful. I suggest everybody try it at least once, but don't get addicted to it because it's when you start. All right, let me look at it from both angles because I don't want to tell people. I don't want to sit here and be like, you're unimaginative and not a fun Magic player if you play that deck, because if the goal is to win, then play the deck because it is a very good deck and it wins.
Or find the counter.
The flip side of it is, yes, find a counter to it. Find the control deck that has counter spells and hand disruption, so you can sort of like rip apart your opponent's hand, counter some things so it disrupts their plan. But the majority of the metagame deals well with control decks right now. So like if your only goal is to beat this one deck, there's going to be like 6 or 7 other kind of decks that are like tier 1, tier 1.5 that will be like really throw your plan out the window.
Yeah.
So you can't just game to like
Has to be
beat
more
that one.
rational.
So you need so I think the goal right now for everybody is to build a deck that's like a toolbox that can like have like one answer that answers like a few different things from a few different decks.
What about the wish thing with the sideboard?
That's a good one. The Fey of Wishes, like having things in your sideboard that you can pull out and like, okay, I'm up against that deck, so let me grab it. So that's a good option, and I think that's a good start. It's just what do you want to build the deck around? If you're gonna have 15 cards in your sideboard, right? And you have Fey of Wishes, so you have 15 answers. Do you want to build like blue-green? Do you want to build blue-white? So it's got to be a blue base, right? You can do blue-black because black has a lot of hand disruption and creature removal and stuff. But it's just like, where do you go? Like there's like
What's that double strike flyer? What's that?
double strike flyer.
Yeah, that card. It flies. It's white.
The dinosaur?
No, it's like one of those. It's one of those very popular cards that everyone's playing. It's a flyer.
His flying ability. Who's the double strike flyer? I don't know.
Oh
Right
my
now?
god!
Right now? Like in standard?
It does. It equals double strike. It's not. Doesn't read double strike, but it has something to do with dealing more damage. No,
I don't know.
I'll find it.
Alright, find it.
Chat, help me out.
Double strike flyer?
You know what I'm talking
No,
about.
I know. But basically on the point of this deck is that try it. Don't be discouraged to try a deck because that's the point of the game, right? It's you play and you'll see it and then you'll either be like, okay, I'm going to take this up the ladder and I'm going to win a bunch and that's just how I'm going to win. I think I'm too sensitive or too polite of a Magic player to want to do that consistently. You know, my personality does not thrive in making other people miserable.
Okay.
And that's what this deck really does. It really makes your opponent miserable because you can't. the draws it always gets too. It's like you see it coming. It's like turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, and that's it. Then they have an Agent of Treachery and they steal your thing, and then they're gonna blink it out and then steal 2 more things. It's like, if you can't deal with it, which most likely you can't because you played something on turn 4.
Yeah. That sucks.
You play something on turn 4, so maybe you're tapped out and you have a creature. And then on turn 5, they play their Luca and they play their Agent and they steal the creature you played, or they just steal a land, and then you're behind a turn. And they're ahead a turn because then they have an extra land. So try it.
Has Wizards said anything about it?
And that's issue number 3, is that when things show themselves as powerful, they have to analyze the metagame. They have to analyze just how powerful it is.
Yeah.
And they haven't said anything. They don't really say stuff. They don't really like give us a clue as far as like banning or restricting or anything, because obviously Magic is different than Hearthstone, so they can't like turn down the power of something.
Oh, it happened again, and then it went away. The sound, the background sound. I think it was other cat.
Can you hear yourself, or can you?
Everything's fine now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it probably was. So anyway, the point is that Wizards is making the game very, very, very powerful and fast. I was talking about this on stream the other night. Is that the game currently is just very fast and aggressive, or fast and huge things happen on turn 4 or 5 that are just like when you were playing Magic 10 or 15 years ago. The things that can happen on turn 4 or 5 were things that were playing like on turn 10 or 11. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't get there that fast. But now they're making cards that you can cheat things out. Like you can search your library for it and get it out for way cheaper.
Yeah.
Or all the ramp cards, like playing extra lands every turn, or like drawing extra cards or playing extra lands. So your resources are 3 times what they would be on a certain turn, so you can play these big cards. So I feel like the state of the game.
You're not going to be happy until you come up with the deck. When you come up with the deck that is killing, slaying everything.
I will never come up with the deck because I'm not like a super popular streamer or pro Magic player. You know,
yeah,
like,
you will be.
So I mean,
I believe in you.
I will not be. But I mean, it's a good thought, because I had built this mutate deck the first week when Ikoria came out, and mutate was like new and people were still trying to figure out if it was like ladder worthy, so to speak. And I had this build of a deck, and then it was brought to my attention some like pro guy had like built a deck and was playing around with it. I was like, oh, I built that same.
Oh, you built the same.
I built
idea.
the same thing, right?
Who built it first? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like who built it first? How well were they doing with it? You know, how recognized was it that? So it's like, it's one of those things too that you're like, is it really that big of a deal if you create something and it's being used? You know, how does how do things originate on the internet? Like there is a genesis. There's one person that comes up with one thing, like a joke or a meme or whatever. Yeah. It's the same thing, and then it just kind of like permeates, you know, the internet and then like the communities and stuff, and just people see these decks and they're like, oh, where'd that go? And you don't know, you know, and then it just becomes a thing.
What was the story about that Magic player that came up with that crazy deck and won the tournament, but it was like out of nowhere? We covered it, and then on the Arena podcast, they interviewed him, and then his girlfriend played the deck too.
Right. Yeah, that the Teamer Clover deck. Yeah. That's that right. It's like
that's what Magic's all about.
Right. You come up with a deck,
that's a story
you play it, and then you win a big tournament, and then your partner gets to Mythic with it because it's like you came up with something, you perfect it, and you change it with the metagames shifting and ebb and flow, and you just keep with it, and you just keep playing it. And
it's stories like that give me life.
Yeah, it's inspiring and it's motivating. I went up against that particular deck that Teamer Clover last night. I was on stream. I was playing Fires of Invention, and somebody was playing Temur Clover, and I had I had thrown my hands up in game 3. I was like, I'm not gonna, because I was playing best of 3, and I was like, game 1 I got destroyed. Game 2 was a surprising win, but I was able to pull it from behind, and then game 3 it wasn't looking good, but because I played that deck enough to know kind of where they would be at, I was able to pull it together and plan my turns accordingly, and I got the win. But
Nice.
knowing, so the point is, like, if you play a deck, you want to play it to a point where you know how to play it, you know its ins and outs. Then when you decide to move away from that deck and you're playing something different, but then you come up against it, you need to be trying to play your opponent's deck as well as yours, right? You need to be in their head. You need to be like a step ahead of them, because like I played 2 cards, and then I realized they had 2 cards in hand. I'm like, and they had 2 clovers out. So the clover copies a spell, so if they play it once, they can play it 2 more times,
Okay.
which is crazy value. I played 2 things. I was like, oh crap, if they have the Brazen Borrower in hand, they could just bounce everything I just played. Luckily they didn't, and that was the game right there, because I needed to set up my turn and I needed to force it through, so I couldn't be worried about like a counter spell or a disruption spell. I was like, all right, let me play these 2 things, because next turn, if I'm able to play these 2 other things, then we're good.
That's always a tough decision.
So
do I build my board
Yeah.
now, or am I gonna regret it?
Right.
You know.
So, and sometimes you just got to force it through, right? Sometimes they don't have the
Sometimes
counter
they
spell.
don't have the counter.
Right. So
Yep.
it was good. It was good to get a win that way. It was good to learn the deck I was playing. And it was good to see that the Temur Clover deck isn't invincible, because when that deck gets going, they have so much card advantage. They have so much. They have just so much to do, and they have the sideboard thing with the fairy, so they can go to their sideboard and grab some stuff. But I did notice if you are playing against Temur Clover, they'll have a bunch of land out. They might have a bunch of cards in exile that they can play. It's kind of like their face-up cards that they can play at any time. If they have a bunch of land and they're tapping down and they only have 3 or 4 mana available, and you have like a win or a potential win in the next turn, you pretty much have the game. Like, because if they utilize all their resources and don't do anything significant in a big turn, and you can set up your turn in a way where you can, play an evasive creature and attack that turn, or trample over somehow and get through one of their blockers, then it's good. So you need to let them kind of overextend, and that's what happened last night too. Game 3, they overextended, then they realized they couldn't.
Once I play the Double Strike Flyer, they're
Did you
done.
find it? Did you find it?
Oh, I can't find it.
So, so on the topic of Luca, I just feel like right now Standard is at a point where it's not fun. Okay, we got there with
Wow.
already. We got there with Field of the Dead.
3 weeks.
We got there with I don't even think it's 3 weeks. It was Field of the Dead, right, with all the zombies. Then that got banned.
Okay.
Then it was Oko and Once Upon a Time, and then those 2 things got banned because they're too powerful. Veil of Summer got banned, which I think at this point it needs to be unbanned, and so we can use it in Standard, because people are utilizing blue as a source of stealing your stuff, and I feel as if we need an answer to all these blue things that are happening to slow down this, like, steal your stuff on turn 5 garbage, because I want to play the game. I don't want to have my stuff stolen every time I play the game. So that's number 1.
Okay.
Number 2. Number 1, play the deck if you want. Number 2, don't get addicted to it. And 3, if you do get addicted to it, realize that people aren't going to be having fun. So put yourself in their shoes.
Stop playing the deck. Okay, everybody, just stop. That's it. We need to come up with something new. We need a new meta.
Spyglass, so Dark Knight Gaming mentioned Sorcerer's Spyglass. Spyglass wouldn't work because it's not an activated ability. It's a triggered ability. The only thing that I can think of that would work against... So there's 2 things that I want to incorporate if I'm going to play a deck that is trying to be the anti-Agent of Treachery thing. There's two things you can play. You can play Tail's End, which is a counterspell from M20, and it counters a legendary spell, triggered ability, or activated ability. It's 1 blue and 1 colorless. So if somebody gets a anything that enters the battlefield is a triggered ability, like that says when this enters the battlefield, do X, Y, Z.
Okay.
That's a triggered ability. When it comes into play, steal your opponent's thing.
Battlecry.
So if you respond with a Tail's End, it's a counter spell that counters a ability of something that's triggered, activated, or a legendary spell. So it'll come into play. The ability goes on the stack. It'll say, okay,
The next
Agent
thing.
of Treachery came into play. This thing is going to happen, and your opponent is targeting your land. So then you can respond to the
Oh my
ability
god.
with
That's
Tail's End,
crazy.
and then it'll make it go away.
That would have to be a secret. There's no other way they could do it. It'd have to be a
Yes,
secret
yeah, it's an
that
instant,
nullifies if your opponent plays a battle cry card, nullify that battle cry.
Right.
That'd be a great secret. Let's build that card. I'm writing that down.
And then the other card, the second card to that would be what people are actually playing right now is Lazotep Plating, which kind of acts like Veil of Summer, but it's not as good. So it's 1 blue, 1 colorless, instant, and it says you and all of your permanents that you control gain hexproof until end of turn, and then you get a 1/1 creature. Like that's
Okay.
so again, it's like if Agent of Treachery comes out, targets your thing, you can play Lazotep Plating in response, and then everything gets hexproof, which means they can't be targeted, they can't be touched, they can't whatever.
Yeah.
So their Agent of Treachery can't steal your thing that turn, but then next turn they can use Yorion, put it in play, blink out their Agent of Treachery, comes back, and then they can steal your thing. So even if you eliminate that first turn steal, they have ways to do it again and again and again. That's the problem.
Okay.
The problem is just like the repetitive, like, I'm gonna steal your stuff, I'm gonna steal your stuff again, I'm gonna steal your stuff again, because it's just not one time. It's not on turn like 7, like the card was designed to steal one thing and then probably end the game in a couple turns. It's like turn 5, and again and again.
Well, what if we lightning bolt it?
Lightning Bolt isn't legal, and it doesn't matter because it came into play. That's the thing. That's the thing with the card is that it just comes into
okay.
play. It doesn't matter if it lives or
Nice.
dies. If it comes into play, it happens. So, Whirlwind Denial is a good counterspell too. Yeah, you have to pay 4 for an ability. But see, what's happening too with these decks is that they're playing Fires of Invention and they don't tap their mana for it. It's like a free spell. So they have their mana up too. Like if you play a counterspell that says pay X amount of mana to make that thing happen, they have their mana up as well to like. It's just a problem.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a problem. I think it's what a lot of people are talking about right now. So, moving on to what I was having success with is this Boros aggro deck that where is it?
Boros aggro.
There it is. It's something that I built to give myself a quick and easy best of 1 deck that is not as typical as mono red, has a couple things in it that are helpful for the metagame,
Okay.
and it's a little bit more fun to play. So let me just put this deck in the chat. And so we're just going to go through this deck real quick because it's right now it's 9-1 on the ladder. It's got me up a few ranks, and then I'll stop playing it, and then I'll fall a few. So I should really put some faith into this one because it is serving me well in the current metagame situation. Basically, the concept here is just red and white value creatures that are really aggressive. So you have 4 Fervent Champions, which is the 1/1 for 1 first strike haste. When it attacks and another attacking knight you control gets +1/+1/+1/+0 till end of turn. And then the equip ability isn't relevant in this deck, but you can equip things for 3 less. So there's 4 Fervent Champions, 2 Integrity Intervention, which is a split card. So for 1 red or white, a creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So it's a nice little buff. excuse me, and then the split side of it is 2 colorless, a red and a white. Intervention deals 3 damage to any target and you gain 3 life. So that can be either like finish off your opponent if they're at 3, or if they have a pesky creature in the way and you need to attack through, you can kill it. 4 Robber of the Rich, 2/2 for 2, Human Archer Rogue, Reach, Haste. If it attacks and your opponent has more cards in hand than you do, you exile the top card of their library, and then you can play that card anytime that you attack with the Rogue. Robber of the Rich is still a ridiculously designed Magic card, and I feel like it's a little bit overpowered because it can steal land.
I just had an idea.
Yes.
What if you play a deck, no minions? They can't steal it. They can steal your mana.
They can steal anything.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's the problem. They can steal anything. It doesn't matter. They just steal anything. They can steal anything.
That's fucked up.
They can steal anything.
That's broken.
3 Scorching Dragonfire for creature removal or planeswalker removal, and it gets exiled because there's a lot of decks right now that are revolving around creatures still in the graveyard and taking them out of the graveyard. So Scorching Dragonfire is an answer to that. You can kill something and it goes to exile rather than the graveyard, so your opponent can't get it back. A little techie card that I've been
That's awesome. That
Actually-
card's awesome.
like really kind of having success with, and I don't think people really play. I've never seen it played really. Response Resurgence. So Response is an instant for 2 hybrid red-white mana, and it says Response deals 5 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. So you have some more removal. So if somebody blocks, it's a little trick to kill the thing if it's too big or whatever, you're gonna live. Or if somebody's attacking with something and you don't have a blocker, you can kill it. And then the Resurgent part has won me games 3 times now. Creatures you control gain first strike and vigilance until end of turn. After this main phase, there's an additional combat phase followed by an additional main phase.
What?
So you get 2 attack phases,
That's awesome.
which is bonkers, especially when you have a whole bunch of aggressive creatures out. It's as simple as just look at it. You get 2 attack phases. That's enough because all these creatures in here are super aggressive. And you can pump stuff, so like on the first attack, if you can only do 10, and then you have a couple cards that are like buff cards, the second attack phase, you can do more damage and kill your opponent. Yeah, I did
And
like...
they don't tap.
And they don't tap, they stay on tap. And, I mean, I did like 18 points of damage to an opponent in one Resurgence turn. So,
Sweet.
look into Resurgence because it's good. 3 Heraldic Banners. So this card is seeing more and more play. It's an artifact for 3 colorless, and it says, as it comes into play, you choose a color. Creatures you control of the chosen color get +1/+0, and then you can tap it for 1 mana of that chosen color. So I always choose red because all the creatures in the deck are red. So they all get +1/+0, and then you can have multiples of these out, so they get that buff for every one that you have out. So if you have 2, everything gets +2/+0. And then it's a mana ramp, so you can actually... Things are very cheaply costed in the deck, so you can play the 3, pay 3 to play it, and then if you have a Fervent Champion in hand, or if you have the Integrity or whatever, 1 casting cost thing, you can still play another thing. So there's 3 of those in the deck.
And you can have little gems that are different colors, and then you can put it on your card,
Yes,
so you don't forget.
So you know what color.
This is
Right.
the green gem.
This is...
This is the red gem.
There's 4 Bone Crusher Giants because we're playing red, and Bone Crusher Giant is a great red card. It's a split card, you can do 2 to anything, and then it's a 4/3 creature. 4 Legion Warboss. I mean, Legion Warboss is just overall a house if you can get it going on turn 3 and they can't deal with it. So Legion Warboss is a 2/2 for 3. The beginning of combat, Legion Warboss puts a 1/1 goblin creature into play, and it has to attack that turn.
Okay.
So if your opponent has a blocker, it most likely will die. But every single turn, you're getting a 1/1. So if they can't deal with an army of 1/1s, and then you attack with Legion Warboss and has Mentor, remember Mentor I was mentioning?
Bonus.
So it buffs your creatures. If you have Legion Warboss out with Heraldic Banners out, your 1/1 minion tokens become 2/1s or 3/1s for free. So you're really putting some pressure on.
Wow. I love it.
And you can still mentor because your Warboss will be
I
bigger.
love that. That is fun.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun, and that's Legion Warboss has won me games by turn 3 turn 4 because of the combination of cards that you can come out with. 4 Light Up the Stage, which is red's like best card draw spell. Light Up the Stage, it's a spectacle for 1 red. Essentially, you pay 1 red, you exile 2 cards from the top of your library, and you can play them until the end of your next turn. So essentially, you set 2 cards aside.
Mhm.
You can play 1 or 2 of those that same turn, or until the end of your next turn. But if you don't play them, they go away forever.
Okay.
So it's just to get more cards in your hand. I was having a little bit of trouble running out of cards, like red will do, like an aggressive deck will do, run out of cards. So I put 2 risk factors in, and risk factor is an instant for 2 colorless and a red that says target opponent may have risk factor deal 4 damage to them. If they don't, you can draw 3 cards.
Okay.
And it has Jumpstart, and Jumpstart is a mechanic that says you can play this again from your graveyard by paying the casting cost and then just discarding a card from your hand. So if you just have like a land in your hand, or you want to get rid of and play that again, you just pay the casting cost, toss the land, and you can play that again. So this is extra damage or 3 cards. You know, it's like there's no bad choice on there. And especially late game, like you run out of cards, your opponent's really low on life, they put it in your hands. You're like, okay, your opponent's going to draw 3 cards or going to take 4 damage and worry about all the dudes on board. So it really puts pressure on.
In Arena, how does Arena let you know that that card is in your graveyard and can be activated?
It's shown off to the right of your hand. So you have your hand here,
Yeah.
and then like off to the right in the exile zone, it'll just be hanging out there with kind of like a little glow around it. It's still in your graveyard. Like if you click on your graveyard on the left-hand side and look at your graveyard, it'll be in there. But to signify that it has an activated ability on it, it would be off to your right.
And highlighted.
Mhm.
To be like this.
Like you can do this.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, they give you hints. You know, they let you know
That's
you can
great.
do something.
That's
Yeah.
what that should be like that.
3 Tajik Legion's Edge. So that's the 3/2 haste mentor, prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to other creatures you control, and pay a red and a white to give him first strike. He's just a really good creature to come out on turn 3. It's a 3/2 mentor, so he mentors basically all the creatures that you would play by turn 3, like your Robber the Rich and your Fervent Champions or your Legion War Bosses. So your dude will get a buff, and then the passive ability that Tajik gives is all non-combat damage that is dealt to other creatures you control is prevented. So if somebody has direct damage on any of your creatures, it won't work. It's prevented. So people forget about that sometimes. It's kind of like a...
Oh, they can cast it anyway and it does
They can
nothing.
cast it, and then it'll hit it, and then nothing will happen, and then you'll see your opponent like hover over cards, and be like, why didn't that work? And then like, oh. So Tajik, but the thing is Tajik doesn't prevent damage to himself, so if you want to kill other things, you have to kill Tajik first, and then you can kill the other stuff. And then there's just 4 Sacred Foundries, 10 Mountains, 9 Plains, and 2 Castle Embereths, which is the castle that pumps your team for 2 red and a colorless and tap it. Everybody gets +1/+0 till end of turn.
Another thing that gives +1.
Yeah. It's just you sink your mana into stuff. You just keep going.
Oh my god.
This is
How are you doing?
It's 9-1 on a ladder. So out of 10 matches, I've won 9 and lost 1.
That's incredible. What's your rank?
I'm at Platinum 2 right now.
That's
2.
awesome.
Yeah. For the beginning of the month, I don't know if did we talk about? Yeah, I think we talked about it. At the beginning of the new season, they gave like double rewards when you were in gold, so you get out of gold really fast.
Okay.
And then when you got the platinum, now it's back to normal. You get 1 win, but they were giving double for gold. Like if you won 1 best of 1, you got 2 slots.
Okay.
Which it wasn't like that before. It was only 1. So if you won 3 games in a row, you rank up out of gold. Like you rank up each one. So I've been seesawing between Platinum 2 and Platinum 3 the past couple days. I've been like, win 2, lose 2. Win 3, lose 3. It's been doing that thing.
I want to watch you play this deck. Are you streaming today?
Possibly. I'm streaming tomorrow for sure. If I'm playing Magic, usually nowadays I'll just stream anyway.
Can you stream this one?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, by request. So this deck is a lot of fun to play. It's aggressive. It just has a couple more tricks in it than mono red does. Because if you look at the deck, it's basically a mono red deck, right? If you just look at the creatures and the creature base, everything's red, and there's a couple white cards.
Yeah.
But those white cards are like the cards that really pull the deck together to give it that little oomph. They give it that little bit of extra like just a little bit extra, because red can run out of cards. Red can.
Where's Boros? Why is it called Boros?
That's the guild name.
Oh.
That's what red white is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's just
Gotcha. You guys and your guilds.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at. So that's standard sucks. Play aggressive decks. Don't get frustrated. I hope Wizards does something about cards that are too much right now. But you can't count on it because you just can't count on it. The companion mechanic is really cool, and it's really cool to have something new in Magic, but I think it's just a little bit like, as they say, it's OP, right?
Yeah.
There's a
It's
lot.
like when Hearthstone did it was Genin Baku. So it was if all of your cards are odd,
Mhm.
you get a big bonus. It was like updated.
Wait a
tarot
second.
card. What? Genin Baku?
What did you just say? What was the ability? If all your things are odd,
If all your cards have an odd casting cost, you get
so you get something.
You get something, yeah.
Was there one about even ones? too?
Yeah.
You know what happened in this set, right?
The companions,
Right.
and they have the
Odd
limitation.
and even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were there, and it was awful.
So it was in the boardroom.
It
You
was
guys
awful.
were in the boardroom, and your Hearthstone folks were like, "Okay, you can have this ability, but you got to wait like 2 sets."
Everything had Genin Baku.
Yeah.
It took over.
How old was that? How long ago was that?
Oh boy,
It was a while ago.
over a year ago. Yeah.
So Hearthstone was like, all right, you can have that, but we need a year so people forget that this ability didn't really exist. So
They Hall of Famed it. Yeah. Now it's only in Wild. Only in Wild, which would be your legacy kind of
Wild.
thing, where you can
Historic.
play anything.
Yeah, historic on Arena, legacy or vintage in real life.
What was your flex about? I don't understand that flex. Well, I don't get it.
All the wild cards I have.
Wild cards. What does
Yeah.
that mean?
So if I want a rare or a mythic rare that I don't have, I can just make one.
Oh.
I have 220 rares and 100 mythic rares. So essentially anything that I need, I can have at this
Oh
point.
wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's basically like when the next set comes out, I most likely won't have to buy any packs because I have a bajillion wild cards and I can just craft everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But well, it's not as fun opening stuff digitally.
It's not. It's actually kind of annoying.
Yeah, I wish there was a button to just open everything at
Yeah.
once.
They do, in Arena, they do buy the 10s. Like if you have 10 or more, you can open 10 at a time. And then they'll just show you all your rares.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
So
we hope these segments will help you in your quest on enjoying the game a little bit more and getting better at the games. Don't take my comments as negative about
this is a
about the
safe
game.
place. This is a safe place. MLP.
My feelings on the game are I enjoy playing it, and the reason why I'm so serious and kind of bummed about the state of it is because it takes the enjoyment away.
We say we're casual players, but we play a lot.
Mhm.
I don't know if we're casual anymore.
I mean, we're casual in the sense where we're not like playing in tournaments. You know,
Yeah.
like I think that's like a next
Yeah,
level.
okay.
Like
Yeah.
we don't play in tournaments. We play to win and improve on ourselves, right? We
Yeah,
play to
that's
win
true.
and try to do better. You know, we don't play in tournaments. We're not like
We play a lot, though. We care about the game a lot.
we care about the game, and it's from that care about the game that this comes from. This like feeling of like, oh, this sucks because I care about the game. I want to play it. I don't want my opponent to play solitaire. That's not what this game is about. It's
Right.
about interaction. And all of these recent cards and all these recent things are about like these non-interactive games where you're like playing 3 lands and you're trying to build up your board, and if your opponent is playing this deck that is completely bonkers and all these cards work so well together that they are by turn 4 or turn 5 have all the cards they need and are doing their thing,
Yeah.
and you're sitting there like a little dork, like with your, oh, I want to play this mutate creature next turn, and you can't because your opponent steals it, and you're like,
Fuck
you're
that guy.
okay, so then I guess I'm just gonna concede and move on. And it's like some people sit here and be like, yeah, just concede and move on, but that shouldn't be the answer, right?
Right.
You shouldn't have to just give up and hope to get matched up against somebody who's not playing that deck. I don't know. it's hard. It's a hard spot that we're at right now with standard, and
Well, you know, there should be better playtesting.
Yeah.
They should have better playtesting.
it's funny how almost every set now is has an issue. Like every set has a card that's like, holy crap, we should have seen that, right? Like every single.
If they ban fire, Canadian MTG says, if they banned fires and agent, I think standard would be really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they should. We're a listener-supported show.
We are.
You can support the show by joining us on our Discord, discord.me/Mythic Legendaries. We see that you join. It means the world to us that you're a part of the family. And you can follow us on Twitch at Mythic Legendary. You can listen to the show.
Twitter's at Mythic Legendary. We got a lot of stuff out there.
There's a lot of stuff. And I don't have my list, I guess, is here, but.
So if you're on Twitch,
Yeah.
if you're on Twitch right now and you're not following, if you hit that follow button, that'd be really awesome because you'll get notified when we stream podcasts, when I play Magic on this channel. Mox plays on her channel, which is Mythic Legendaries Pod on Twitch. So if you want to follow her and watch some Hearthstone stuff, that would be wonderful. And otherwise, we just we just do this because we enjoy our games, we enjoy you guys, and we enjoy interactions. So shout out to the Ron Factor for winning the foil Hydroid Crisis last night on stream. We had a nice giveaway. I was able to set up my giveaway thing. There's a lot of things I'm learning as far as Twitch goes. There's a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, you're getting so good. You're doing all this cool graphics and stuff.
That's the easy part. But last night I was able to set up a giveaway, like a one-time giveaway where you use your channel points to buy raffle tickets, and then at the end it's like a randomly generated.
That's because you're the next level of Twitch.
Yes.
So you can't do that stuff as a norm.
Right, as a norm. It's a lot of fun. Followers, subscriptions, shout outs, all that stuff is great.
Please tell a friend.
You know, it's again, we're doing it for the love of the game. We're not trying to make money. We're not trying to get famous. Right. We're just trying to do something good for the community.
If you can just tap the 5 stars on the Apple Podcasts, we appreciate it.
Yeah, Apple Podcast reviews would be wonderful.
Oh my God! Anybody that leaves an Apple Podcast review this week, we will read your review on the show.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
I'm doing it. I'm putting it out there.
Shout out to Shadow Killer. It's his birthday, so happy birthday!
Happy
Shadow
birthday!
And I think that's the end of episode 44 of the Mythic Legendaries podcast. We appreciate everybody who hangs out and chat while we do this. This is a lot of fun. Thanks to you guys. The whole vibe of the podcast has changed and gotten way more exciting.
Fun.
So
yeah,
it's so fun
thank
having
you
guys here. So make sure you subscribe again so you get notified when we come on and we hang out, and we want to get you guys more involved. So as we grow, we'll let you know what we can give back to you guys.
Absolutely.
So come back next week for episode 45, and if you have anything to contribute, anything you want to say, hit us up. Let us know.
Yeah, mythiclegendaries@gmail.com. Anything, life stuff. We do a off topic. We do like a
Ask Rich.
Dear
life,
Rich.
Life.
An advice column. We have an advice segment.
Oh, I gotta hydrate.
Hydrate.
All right.
Woo!
I'm hydrating with a Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. I have a little bit left. Here.
Cheers. And on that note, thanks very much. We're hydrating with Diet Dr. P's. Come back next time for episode 45. We're going to hang out for a few more minutes when we stop the stream and the pod recording. So if you want to hang out, have a good one. Cool.
I video every episode, starting with like episode 10. I think. One day we might make them available.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of content. There's a lot of places to put
Yeah.
content. You don't want to like overdo it, but we also want people to like get something out of it. Something fun.
Yeah. And there's a timeless aspect to the show. Just off-topic stuff.
Yeah.
How's everyone doing up there?
Everybody good out there? Thanks for joining us this week. You guys are great.
I might buy a car today.
What kind? What were you looking at?
Okay, so it started with, I really liked the
Subaru.
Buick Encore.
Oh, right.
I thought it was
Those
awesome.
are fancy.
Have you seen it?
Those are fancy.
They're fancy, and they're like a small crossover, but it's a small one.
Yeah.
And they're all-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted that, but I can't afford it. So the Chevrolet makes the Chevy Trax,
Yes.
T-R-A-X,
Yes.
which is like Chevy version.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm going to try to buy.
Nice.
2016 all-wheel drive.
Cool.
Bluetooth technology.
Oh shoot.
No wires anymore. It's gonna be. They have a backup camera.
Yeah. You don't have one
Sweet.
though, huh?
No.
Yeah. My car I have now is the first one I've had with a backup camera. I'm like addicted to it.
The only other option I would want in a car is heated seats.
Butt warmers.
Heated seats, heated steering wheel. That would be really living the good life because it's mostly winter here.
Yeah. It's still winter right now.
It's still winter. Fucking
Bojerka, my feet still hurt from hiking too. We went on a hike yesterday.
make me do push-ups.
Oh no.
Oh, you're gonna pay?
Oh yeah, it's your channel points. So channel points are like if you hang out
Yeah.
and you hang out with us, right? You get your every 5
Oh.
or 10 minutes you get like
Points. Okay.
points. And then I have all those things that you see. You can redeem them, like what Dark Knight said, hydrate, right? He redeemed 100 points and made me drink.
Oh, cool.
It's like you're a monkey.
Oh.
You're like
Oh, that's fun.
yeah. So
I love that.
yeah.
Like flip your hair or something like
Yeah,
that.
you can make custom ones. Yeah. So like, wait, let me see what one did I have.
Hair flip. How much would a Mox hair flip cost? 1,000 points?
No.
What happens when they give you your points? Then you have the points? Do they equal anything else?
No, it's just rewards for your viewers.
Oh, it's fun. It's
It's
for fun.
for fun. It is for fun.
Interaction and fun.
Yeah, interaction and fun. So there's like highlight my message, posture check, hydrate, unlock. So I gotta make a big thing with like channels is like having emotes, like your own custom emotes. I haven't done that yet because they're all very specific sizes, and I'm not very good with like resizing pictures. I don't know what I'm gonna use yet, but anyway.
Like walk the runway, 2,000 points.
Yes.
So like I get up,
And you like
I put
do
the
it.
heels on,
You
I
just,
walk.
You sashay back and forth for a minute.
Yeah.
Make me dab was like a what is it, a default one, like it's in there.
Isn't
Oh
that?
no, Canadian MTG just redeemed to make me dab. Wait, how do you dab? Is it this way? Is that
Do it, man.
is that it? Is that a
I have
dab?
no idea. Do it though.
I'm doing it. Wait.
Isn't that a Michael Jackson dance move?
No, it's like a fucking little kid thing. I don't know. I'm too
I
old.
love it.
I'm too old to know.
Oh my god, I wish I had another
I don't
camera.
know what happened. Just Bojerka's cheering. Thank you, Bojerka.
Thank you, Bojerka.
Make me do push-ups or sit-ups. Give treats to my pet, which is fun.
Posture check.
Yeah, because
Did
if
you
you're
do
like slouching
okay.
or whatever. So, oh, I didn't see he redeemed a posture check too. Yeah, my posture right now is awful. It comes over. There's a best of 3 standard. So there's a couple of things where I put in with custom ones, best of 3 standard. So if somebody comes in and wants to play like a real match, you redeem some points, and we play best of 3. Play your deck, which is like if you want me to play your deck on stream, redeem some stuff. And then a deck tech, like, hey, I want to build a deck that's
Oh,
whatever, you pay
Oh.
4,000 points and I'll,
and they'll send you the list and you can review the
Yeah,
list
yeah,
and
yeah.
give your opinion on it. That is really cool.
Yeah.
I saw Orange doing that today.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so the rewards and stuff are a lot of fun. I'll probably come up with more as they come along. I want to say I have no shame. Like I will do stuff to make people entertained. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, you know that
totally.
about me. Like
Yeah.
if it'll make someone laugh or make somebody smile, like sure, I'll do it. Like,
Yeah, totally.
give treats. Oh. All right.
Treats to my pet.
Canadian MTG wants me to give treats.
Do it.
All right, come on.
I'll tell you about my car that I might get. So it's 2016 Trax. It's got like 51,000 miles. They're asking 11.2 for
Do
it.
you want turkey?
My car's worth like 3,000. I cleaned it up. I did like I redid the headlights. Anyway, I'm gonna try to trade in my car
Come here.
and pay only 8,000 for it.
Come here.
We'll see what happens. I'll let you know next week.
Come here. I gotta pick you up. I gotta pick you up.
I got an oil change and
Come
wash
here.
your car. Oh my god, that's a lot of turkey. I want it.
All right.
That's not real turkey because you don't eat turkey.
No, that's real turkey.
Wow, they
Yeah,
get real turkey.
They get real turkey. Yeah. Okay. Ready?
Oh, he's so cute.
Eat that
He's so small.
He is so small.
Eat that turkey. There's a 50% chance if you try to pet Georgie that he might not like it.
I think it's like a 90% chance.
Okay, I'm doing good then.
And now, Girl Cat wants her turkey, so I'll give Girl Cat her turkey.
This looks cute. Make pitter patter along the ground.
All right. Anyway, you guys are going, huh?
Look at you exploiting your children. She doesn't want it? Nope. She's like,
What's up?
Are you trying to
She
kiss?
eats it all the time. She just doesn't eat from above. Here. Here. Here.
Oh yeah, she's eating it. She loves it. Yeah, I guess I better get going.
All right, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out. I guess we'll see you next time, right?
Yep.
All right, we're gonna end the stream right now. We'll see y'all later. Bye.